So I'm sure all of us in this group have a catcalling story.
Yes.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Meron
Yeah.
naman.
My experience of catcalling can actually be divided into two. I've experienced verbal and non-verbal catcalling. So verbal catcalling is just the usual run-of-the-mill, "Hi, sexy," or "Uy, ganda," or something else like
You must.
yeah,
Like
something.
when you're walking on the street.
Yeah. And then I've also experienced non-verbal catcalling when they just use their hands or their mouths to make, vulgar.
Sometimes it's
to
just
make
their
vulgar
eyes, right?
Yung mata, yung
signs.
parang may something sa eyes ng mga catcallers na hindi
usually,
siya katulad nung sa ibang tao. Na masisense mo na binabastos ka na nila in a way.
Yeah.
O hindi mo alam kung paano.
Ibang levels. Like, I remember in college, I didn't have tattoos yet. So, meron yung this, sexy nito, or ganda. And then now that I'm kind of covered in tattoos, merong parang, ay, maganda sana, marami lang tattoo. Yung parang, malait pa ako.
So that's positive.
It's a weird
tapos
kind of
negative.
catcalling na
So may
lahat pa.
discrimination against girls with tattoos. It's crazy.
Ako naman, I remember my super fear before was walking past construction sites. I don't know if
Yes.
you guys had that, but like, and I hate how it's magnified na. Di ba nasa taas pala tayo nung go, tapos na mag-magnify.
And then there's a whole group of them
They
pa.
will go out of their way to parang.
Yeah, so I remember growing up, that was
And then they talk about you in a group.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's the scariest part because you're so outnumbered by all of these people
Yeah.
and they're all looking at you pa.
And that's the weirdest thing, right? It doesn't have to happen at night. Like yesterday, broad daylight,
Yeah.
I was walking to the grocery with my girlfriend. And then, like what you said, it's like non-verbal. Like you're made to feel super conscious of yourself. And it's multiplied for me because I have to look out for myself and the girl that I'm with. So
When you say nonverbal, what are they doing? with
it's
that?
like they're just like looking at you. Like it's not even like a subtle look. It's like a sharp 90-degree turn in your direction.
Yeah.
I got a weird
But was
one
it a group
yesterday.
that was looking at
It
you?
was like distributed along the street.
My one yesterday was I was asking someone for directions and I was wearing my uniform and I have a patch that says, my body is not public property. And the guy just went, my body is not public property. Your body is mine. And I was like,
That's crazy.
My most shocking catcalling experience was probably this one time. I was crossing the street. I came home from the gym, and someone like me, the usual like this sound, and then they're like, "Hey, sexy," and I look, and it's a 10-year-old kid.
what?
Yeah, I'm not kidding. It was a child. So I was thinking about whether I should like reprimand him or get mad at him, which I did. I kind of reprimanded him after. Because it was like I bet he doesn't genuinely feel an attraction to me, but parang that's what he has seen, and that's the behavior that he's mimicking, you know? So
And
I
it's
feel-
not just like, for me, it's not even just like, you were talking about nonverbal and we were talking about verbal, but it's also like motions, when people do stuff with their hands.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't require noise, but it's actually more about, oh my god, what are you doing? Like,
Yeah.
It's so creepy.
And the perpetrators are a variety as well. It's not just construction workers. It can also be tricycle drivers or just your run-of-the-mill, curb crawlers. Someone's in a car driving past you and just
Yung bubuksan yung
Yeah, that has happened.
Yeah, and then makes you eyes at you or worse, does
Sisigawan
something
ka
more
pa,
vulgar.
tatawagan
Vulgar.
ka. Yung experience ko naman, sa social media kasi siya. So may nag-direct message sa akin, tapos nag-send siya ng dick pic. Tapos parang yung caption pa, how do you like my arts? Parang ako,
That is not art. That is your
kuya, wait lang,
private art.
bablock kita. Tapos report kita, wait lang. So medyo na din ako, na kahit sa labas, nakaka-catcall rin ako kahit mahilig ako magsuot ng pambahay na sobrang haba, yung damit, ganon. Parang inaasar pa nila ako minsan na kung ano na pa yung binabato sa akin. Tapos minsan lumalaban ako pag alam ko yung sasabihin ko or parang naano ko agad na catcall ka girl, lumaban ka. Pero minsan or kalimitan, nabablanko kasi ako pag kina-catcall ako eh. Parang hindi ako makapaniwalang nangyayari yun sa akin.
Tapos yun, wala talaga siyang kinalaman sa suot mo. Diba? Kasi
Totoo.
kahit anong suot mo, ikaw nga nakapambahay ka na.
Minsan naka-uniform.
Nakapang-office ako, nakapants ako, naka-heels ako, naka-flats ako. Nangyayari pa din talaga siya.
And it doesn't matter, you know what I mean? Like, and I think that's the sad part about it, that it's so prevalent that people say na, ito kasi yung suot niya, so that person deserved it. It's like,
No one is.
no one
deserves
That's the thing. It's like we're talking about the feeling that it made you feel. Even if you're like the strongest, most confident, self-assured woman, when you get catcalled, you're forced to like examine yourself and you feel that feeling of shame, and you feel so dirty. Because wala ka naman ginawa. Parang, what did you do? And like, the worst part is guys, well, most men think that they're doing you a favor. They're paying you a compliment.
Yeah.
You know, given that
And that you're asking for it,
Yeah.
or you actually want it, that you actually want it to happen to you, even if it's unwelcome or unwanted.
So given that we've all had these different kinds of, you know, experiences when it comes to catcalling, like how do we define it? Because, you know, I think people don't exactly, some people say, oh, hindi naman yun catcalling, hindi naman yun. So I think let's talk about what it is. What is catcalling?
For me, I feel like catcalling is if it's unsolicited, predatory, what do you call this, attention.
Unwanted attention.
Unwanted, and it's predatory. It makes you feel unsafe, despite, you know, I mean, that's our basic right.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. For me, they're, as I said, unwanted, unwelcome, and they can be acts, they can also be comments, or they can be behaviors. Yeah, that are mostly sexual in nature. They can also be gender-based because, you know, it's not only women who get catcalled. Gay men can also be catcalled. Trans men can also be catcalled.
Men also get catcalled.
Nakakatcall din sila.
Although majority of it happens to women, men, it happens
But I think it's important to qualify that they're unwelcome, they're also unwanted, and that their effect in general is that they make you feel offended, they make you feel humiliated, or they make you feel intimidated. That's why a lot of us, in our experiences of catcalling, we usually freeze. Because when it happens to you, it's so unexpected.
It's shocking.
Hindi mo siya ina-expect. Lumabas ka lang sa gate mo, maghihintay ka ng tricycle. Tapos biglang dadaan na isang truck ng mga construction workers. Tapos meron silang sasabihin sa'yo tungkol sa suot mo, tungkol sa pagkababae mo, o tungkol sa itsura mo. Tingnan ba ikaw, naghihintay na ako ng tricycle. Please, leave me alone.
Or sasakay lang sa jeep, tapos biglang may sumisigaw pa sa akin. Oy, ngiti ka naman. Araw-araw ka namang nakasimangot pag dumadaan dito. Tapos parang, nagkikip tabs ka kung kailan ako dito dumadaan.
I think there's also the argument of like, oh, I'm just trying to brighten your day or whatever. But then I think for men who
brighten my day, just ruin my day.
Yeah, exactly. I think for men, I think for men who are like about to catcall or who are confused as to like, oh, I can't approach a woman anymore. Just think about it this way: if you're gonna like yell at someone or whatever, like, would you do that if that person were a man or someone you weren't attracted to? Then if the answer is no, then probably you shouldn't do it.
Or just keep quiet to anyone you don't know. You know, just personal space.
Kasi personal space na yun nung stranger. Halimbawa, na-catcall ako. Tapos, parang may ka pa rin kahit in public space. Yung meron ka pa rin personal space for you. So parang pumapasok na sila dun sa dun sa personal space.
And even not just in public spaces. Like you mentioned, someone sent you a social media. So it can be online, like on your social media pages. Like someone just leaves a comment that's objectifies you or whatever.
I think it's also important to bring up, you know, like you were talking about catcalling. I forgot what I was saying. Okay, go.
Like how it makes you feel.
Let's go back to what Noel pointed out earlier, this concept of non-consent or of catcalling being non-consensual. Because as women, we're not asking for it, right? We don't want it.
We don't want this attention.
Yeah, right, exactly. So if you're a male and you want to catcall someone, it's unwanted. You have to understand it. Women are not asking for it.
Just no matter what they're wearing.
If you want to talk to a girl or a woman who you like, but you can actually say something to that woman in a nice way.
Yeah,
that's what I wanted to say.
Exactly.
Great, help you bring it back.
I know. So like what I wanted to say was like, you know, people are like, what? It's a compliment. We're saying that you're gorgeous. We're saying you're cute. We're saying you're sexy. Why are you taking it so bad? The thing is, there's a way.
And there's a setting also.
And also like,
May
for example,
timing
if
rin
I was walking on the street and someone said to me, excuse me, you look amazing. Then I'm always like, thank you. But then when they go, miss, ganda mo, miss.
Like if it makes you feel unsafe, that's catcalling. Like if I see for a hot moment, diba, parang I don't feel like so much. Pero like, I feel like you don't feel unsafe with me because you know that I won't do anything.
Yeah, exactly.
And you also don't have the feeling that they're expecting something from you.
Yeah, I think it's that. That's what defines it. That it's like it's like threatening. It feels kind of like it's that exact word. It makes you feel unsafe. Once you feel like, oh my gosh, you don't have control over the situation, then that's when things go back.
Yeah, I think that's an important point because a lot of people get confused. What is the difference between just saying hi or catcalling a person on the street, right?
Yung pag-say
As long as it's unwanted, even if it's just, hi miss, or uy ganda.
May
It's
something
catcalling.
kasi, may
Yeah, it's
laman yung
catcalling.
pagsasalita nila.
Yeah.
May something doon, mararamdaman mo na mali, pero
Kasi ang aga-aga,
nandun siya.
sex na agad yung iniisip
Oo,
mo.
parang, wait lang ha, bueno muna tayo, mag-12 p.m. muna tayo.
Personal, and I think parang, you have to also consider that it depends on the person. Parang it depends on how much you can take. Like some people can be more comfortable with this, but it's really like a very personal experience. I feel like, you know, like what feels intrusive to you, you can't like just cast that off. You know what I mean?
No, but that's the thing, right? Because we are made to feel so uncomfortable whenever we're catcalled. You're unable to speak out against it. And so the general perception is that, yeah, it's fine, you can keep doing it. Because I'm just here taking a smile while walking for my own personal safety. Where inside I'm like, oh my God.
Because it happens every day, it gets normalized. Then people think that it's normal. And I think I'm very uncomfortable with the thought that some women are okay to be catcalled. Because it's never okay to be catcalled. For me, it's a form of sexual harassment. I think it should be very clear to anyone who's listening in on this conversation. It's a form of sexual harassment.
Street harassment.
Yes, exactly. And it's also part of a larger culture of women or people who identify as women as being sexualized. In
Or
our culture.
in-objectify sila.
Exactly.
Yeah.
To deeper.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. That is the perfect way to
Yeah.
do it.
And at the same time, you also have to pinpoint that it's part of this macho culture of men feeling that they're entitled to women's bodies or other people's bodies. Like, they're owed sex, right? Of course not. Yeah. I mean, nobody owes you anything.
No, and that's the thing about catcalling is that it's generally, no one says Miss Antonino while you're walking down the street, right? It's always based on like physical attributes. And
Exactly,
so
because
that's a big
catcalling
part
is
of
sexual or
objectification.
gender-based.
Yeah. So no one ever says Miss Embankment mo talaga.
Oh my God.
Like that's why, like that's such a
You're
big
so
part.
interesting. Scream at
But
me.
even if we turn the table, even if we turn the table around and then we change the nature of the catcall and then like making them praise women for their skills, I wouldn't still welcome that. Like,
No, but then
It's
like,
still
like if somebody passes
unsolicited.
by and say, "Oh, genius."
Wait lang.
Diba then? Diba? Kasi it's an invasion of personal space. Yeah.
It's really, going back, it's, just to summarize, like, unwanted attention. Like, the thing, I think what upsets me the most about catcalling is, I just want to walk from
Exactly.
point A to point B.
Tapos ang dami nangyayari in
And I just want to do that and just feel safe. But the problem is, like, you're just trying to get to work. You're just trying to, like, cross the street. And in that, you have all this stress coming into you because someone's, like, doing this, and then suddenly you have to rethink your safety, but no matter what you're wearing, what time it is. And the fact is, like, I just want to reiterate the thing about dress. People think, like, a lot of people say, like, you were asking for it because, honey, I can be, pwede ako nakahubad, diba? I should be able to walk on the street naked and not have.
But don't put the blame on the victim. And at the same time, I look at us. We're all from different, we live in different areas,
You all look totally
we all have
different.
the same experience, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Why? Therefore, it doesn't feel safe anywhere at all.
And it's so common, like, regardless of, like, your social class, everyone gets catcalled.
Yeah, and
No
that's
one's exempt from it.
Yeah.
Unless you're like some super rich person who never leaves your house.
Yeah, and that argument that you were asking for it sort of implies na you dress up for guys' attention or whatever.
Nag-dress up ka lang or parang nagbibihis ka para sa mata nila, hindi para sa decision mo na susutin mo talaga yun.
Exactly.
Kasi
Like, I want to wear this because
dito,
it makes me feel good,
Tapos biglang may sisira ng araw mo. Kasi may nang catcall sa'yo, tapos parang,
no, and that's what's inherently problematic about our culture is that we live in a culture where we are taught like not to be raped versus not to rape.
Rape culture.
Yeah.
But that's, diba, catcalling is like a significant part of that.
Yeah.
And that's why, let's talk, like, why do we need to get rid of it? Why is it affecting us? Because it's like the gateway drug. It's like the first thing that happens. And once we start tolerating catcalling,
mas lalo siyang
it's like, okay, like, this could
It's like a domino effect.
lead to everything else. This could lead to, like, other forms of violence towards women. And that's, like, the start and, like,
like a 10-year-old kid.
Yeah, exactly.
Tapos,
And catcalling has harmful effects. I think it's been normalized in our society so much that we just think that it's nothing. But if it happens every day on a daily basis, like every time you step out of your house, it happens to you, it actually affects you as a person.
Exactly.
Yeah, it has effects on you.
Yeah, psychologically.
Yeah, so for example, like as you said earlier, when you experience catcalling, you froze. Because
Yeah.
Because it's
It causes
fear.
like anxiety. It forces you to evaluate yourself from that outsider's point of view.
Yeah, and sometimes the victim blaming can also come from yourself because it's sort of what you've learned from society, no?
Yung
So it's
sa
like,
victim blaming kasi, parang, di ba, pinalaki tayo or lumaki tayo na ganito na yung society. So parang, sinisisi mo din yung self mo na ba't nangyari yun? Na, ay, sana di ko na lang sinuot yung ganitong damit, baka di ako makatol. Pero, sa totoo, hindi mo naman kasalanan talaga. Ayun.
That's what I really hate about it is that we as women have to adjust for the eyes of like for that behavior.
Yeah. So I think the opposite of victim blaming would be self-objectification. I think that's also an effect of catcalling.
just the general culture of
because
it,
if it
no?
happens to you on a daily basis, then you start thinking about your body and yourself in a different way.
Yeah, like, is there something wrong with
because
me?
then you start learning the code that when you dress sexily, it attracts attention. So then you're able to self-objectify yourself that way. And when you want to get something done, or when you want to catch people's attention, then you wear something that's sexy. And if you don't want to catch people's attention, then you wear something dowdy. You wear something that's not as not as sexy. So it's like you're self-objectifying yourself based on your experiences of catcalling, because it happens to you on a daily basis.
No, and that's another like aspect that bothers me about catcalling is that most catcallers never get catcalled themselves. And so when you force them to engage in this discussion, they're just like, what are you talking about? Because they've never experienced being objectified that way.
I think also, like, you know, when we talk about catcalling, like, on a daily basis, it's like, you know, when we absorb, it's exactly what you said, when we absorb that kind of, you know, that kind of behavior, we rethink everything, and it forces us to subscribe to, like, the norms that society places on us.
Exactly.
It's like, oh my gosh, like, if we start thinking about, like, oh my God, cannot call ako because you said Mahaba-haba dito. It's like you're reinforcing all of these gender norms that we have been conditioned to even since, you know, the Spanish arrived here and brought patriarchy with them. You know what I mean?
And there are actually studies to prove this. I've read somewhere that because catcalling is part of this whole culture of socialization, that because many women and girls live in that culture, then they self-objectify themselves, and then they put limits to themselves.
Yeah.
So in a culture that's highly sexualized, where catcalling happens, apart from, you know, and other things like violence against women, a lot of women are actually not going into fields like the sciences. Those things are related. Right? Because in a culture like that, it's being sexy that's privilege. It's being sexy that's considered as attractive.
I'd like to hear what Yuji has to say about this, because you work in a culture that's primarily male-dominated.
Basically, well, the tattoo, I think, like, within the tattoo culture, I think it's my job, or, I take it on as my responsibility to prove that, because how do I put this nicely?
Grabe. Ayan na.
You know, there's always the tendency to notice me na parang, uy, female tattoo artist. Pero not parang, pansinin niyo naman yung gawa.
I'm just a tattoo artist who happens to be a girl.
Yung ganon.
So that's my thing, my thrust, trying to be noticed as a respected tattoo artist who makes quality tattoos, as opposed to, hey, just another cute tattoo artist, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, but parang, thankfully in the tattoo world, parang, it's like the tattoo artists, female tattoo artists aren't really necessarily catcalled, but other,
There are other industries where it's like harder to exist as a female.
I feel like I'm thankfully I'm in an industry where you're actually cool to be a woman in this industry. But at the same time, it would be awesome if it was about quality as opposed to physical appearances.
And that's like why we have to talk about this. Like, are there any other points on, like, why we need to talk about catcalling? Why this needs to be discussed?
It's because we need to make it a point that it isn't normalized anymore. Like, talking about it just brings it into light that, oh, this isn't normal. Oh, I shouldn't be unsafe just walking down the street to the store or whatever. Like, I should be able to feel safe and do my thing, go to work, whatever, and not be harassed by people. This shouldn't be a normal thing.
Kasi pag natatalakay naman or naaano na yung catcalling talaga. Pero laging walang ano yung gagawin niya after, ano yung mangyayari after nung talk, parang gano'n.
Yeah.
Or ano yung sasabihin or gagawin mo dun sa may mangkakatcall sa'yo sa susunod. Or minsan, parang mas pumapanig pa yung iba dun sa mga nangkakatcall. Like, may incident before sa social media na yung girl, minor siya, tapos sinama siya sa isang group chat na puro lalaki, tapos parang sinesexualize siya doon sa group chat. Tapos parang ang daming nakakadiri talaga, nakabastos na comments towards the girl. So, nilabas niya sa social media yun. Tapos, imbes na kampihan siya ng karamihan ng nasa social media, parang pinagalitan pa siya na parang, ba't mo nilabas yung mga names ng mga guys? Hindi ka ba naawa sa future nila? Or paano na yung psychological welfare nung mga guys na nilabas mo yung name dun sa group chat? Tapos parang ako, girl, paano yung nakatcall? Paano yung nabastos? Paano yung ano niya, na nababasa niya yun, tapos nasa group chat pa siya. Tapos ilang beses siyang umaalis dun sa group chat. Pero, lagi siyang pinapasok dun sa group chat. So parang
siya lang yung babae.
Siya lang yung girl. Tapos parang, yun.
Well, I want to go back to like what you said about normalization.
Yeah.
And I think the reason why it's important that we all talk about it is because in every aspect of like every class of society, nangyayari na normalized siya. From powerful people who take catcalling as like something to be ignored.
Yes.
To you know, or to you to be joked about. Exactly. And to people on the street, like, I mean, you know, it's a hierarchy.
People on TV.
On TV, exactly. So, like, whether
And to do it, to get away with it, with impunity.
It's not even like nighttime TV. It's like noontime shows.
Yeah.
Where
Yun yung laging,
prevalent.
laging yung makikita mo din sa media na parang aakalain din ng mga mas bata pa sa
Yeah, and because people see it on TV,
parang,
they think
ay,
it's
normal
okay.
lang yan kasi si ganito, sinasabi niya, si ganyan sinasabi niya. So, for me, parang
And it's like
talaga
going
siya.
back also, like talking about the normalization of that. It's not just the normalization. First of all, the problem is the normalization of catcalling, and then how that triggers also other forms of rape culture.
Exactly.
So I think that's like a perfect summary to like sum that up. But like, I think pag-usapan natin yung, for example, in the instant na kina-catcall ka, like, diba, normally as women, it's a freeze tayo.
Yeah.
Ano yung, I think it's nice kasi to have kind of like a general thought of like, what can we do? What should we do? Like, personally, I think that the first thing that one has to do when being catcalled is to assess the situation. Diba? Parang
Exactly.
there's not one form of like, you know, there's no real guidelines because it depends. Are you alone? Is it at night? Is it daytime? And I think the first thing, like what you said, is safety. Diba?
Yeah. Just make sure that, because what I try to do, or what I think I'm capable of doing as a person, is calling out the person. But of course, if you're planning on doing that, make sure you're in a safe environment.
Yeah.
Because you never really want to risk your safety to educate someone. Because, I mean, you could...
Safety talaga.
Yeah, you could do it in other forms, of course. But in the case of that kid who was catcalling me, I made it sure to tell him that you can't talk to people like that.
Yeah.
And you're not... Because my experience with actually calling them out, it's so funny actually, because it's like you're breaking the fourth wall. They get so gulat that you even spoke to them.
Yeah.
It's like
Ay, buhay pala tong kinakain.
exactly.
Gumagalaw pala siya.
Because
like-
a lot of women and girls seldom fight back or seldom say anything back.
Exactly. It's not
They
their...
just expect that you're just going to take it.
Exactly. It's not their fault, because obviously it's a scary situation. But if you are in the position that you can speak back, I would recommend that you try at least, as long as your safety is ensured and everything. Because these people need to know that you're not going to be like complacent. You're not just going to deal with it and like let it go.
I think that it's important to talk about how to speak back. Diba? Parang like, really, like, there are studies that say that, you know, one, you look at the person in the eye.
Yes.
So there's a lot about your gesture, your tone, that you demand that respect, and you say it calmly, and then that you also, this is a really hard one for me, but parang, dapat wag kang magmura. Because like, you swear, and that's
Mas lalo silang totoo.
Yeah.
Diba?
I think sometimes they forget, for some reason, that you're an actual...
Exactly.
So, definitely eye contact.
Actually, ganun yung ginawa nung friend ko nung parang everyday siyang nakaka-catcall papunta sa work. Kasi nagbabike lang siya. Malapit lang kasi yung office niya. Tapos parang isang araw, kinausap niya na yung kuya na parang, Kuya, ba't mo ako laging kinakatcall araw-araw? Tapos parang natakot yung guy. Tapos parang nanisi pa siya ng iba niyang kasama. Na sila kasi, hindi, masama yung pangkakatcall. Kasi kung akala nyo na normal lang sa akin everyday na lagi nyo akong sinasabihan na umiti ako, well, hindi. Kasi hindi na siya safe. Oo. ang tapang niyang hinarap yon. Tapos, parang in-educate niya pa sila kuya kung na masama yung ginagawa nila.
Kasi kapag kino-confront mo, magdi-deny sila.
Yeah.
Diba?
Maninisi sa iba.
Oo. Or sasabihin na, hindi ka naman natin nag-uusapan. Or hindi naman ikaw yung pinapakinggan namin. Diba? So parang sometimes that's not a win-win situation.
In the States,
to confront it like that.
Yeah. In the States, there was a girl who had letters. So pag kinakatcall siya, binibigyan siya ng, what you did is like a form of rape culture. And she just hands it to them, which is also, well, kailangan medyo prepared ka. Prepared ka every time. That would be so sad, di ba? That's like the reality.
Kasi nakahanda na siya.
That's the reality of the world we live in. That people have to prepare these notes to give out to people just to educate.
But it also requires you to
pressure
have...
on the victim.
Yeah.
Like I said, like it requires you to be rational and have a level head. But when most of the time in that situation, it's so hard to.
And that's why we're trying to give them tips.
Like one time I was like after a night out, I was walking home with my then girlfriend. So we were like walking, holding hands, and then this guy was like, "Hey, ladies, having a good night," like in that accent. And then so my first instinct was like, we're gonna run away. But her instinct was like to turn around and like confront him about it and be like, "Oh, you like this? You like this?" But then like that's a bad example of how to confront a catcall. But what I'm saying is that if you don't have a rational reaction to it, it's fine too.
Yeah.
It's okay to ignore as well. It's okay to ignore it as well.
Especially when it's about safety. So
Yeah.
if you feel like you can't talk, but then one of the essential things is that when you talk to them, you have to make sure to cut the conversation short because you don't want them to think that you're engaging.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You want them to be like, okay, you learned a lesson, but you don't really deserve my time because of the way you did that. So it's like a quick
And you don't
look
want
at
it
them.
You don't want it to think that you're asking for their attention.
Yeah, so it's like to be very brief and then walk away. But what about if you're a bystander? What can you do in that situation?
I think this is where the idea where other women should stand up for women who are experiencing
Or men.
comes in.
Or men.
Right, yeah. Because I think most of the time when it happens to another person, some people who are actually a witness to what happened will not do anything.
Yes.
Because you're also thinking about their safety.
Yeah,
True.
guilty of it, diba?
Yeah, but you're not actually putting yourself in danger if you check in on the person who just experienced catcalling, right? You
Or
don't,
even just like going closer.
yeah, just go to the person who experienced
Yeah.
the catcall and then ask, "How are you? Are you okay?" Yeah. So then at least people will see that you're trying to help this person and you're trying to make the situation better.
Yeah, and so they realize that they did something wrong, right? Because obviously someone's going to help them, so they need to think about like, what did I
Because it's worse
do?
when we remain silent and to this kind of injustice that happens in public spaces.
So
You think this is thing, parang girls, that's just
Because there's still strength in numbers. If it's like one guy and like even if you're strangers, but there's still a group of you.
But one thing is to
We've been calling that she for she. It's like women standing up for other women. Right?
But you know that there's also like, for example, I'm gonna say, "Are you okay?" But there's also a situation where you can say, "Hey, what you did is wrong," if you're capable of doing that. And another thing is, for example, kunyari, nagtatrabaho siya, you find their superior and say, "This just happened." As the other person. That's also a really great way to do it.
Yeah.
Post experience.
Wait,
No,
sorry,
go ahead.
just to like, and especially if the catcaller is your friend, don't be afraid to like.
Yes.
Ako, pag yung
definitely,
kaibigan ko ng kakatcall, pinagsasabihan ko talaga sila ng friend, masama yung ginawa mo. Parang,
Or you think that's okay, but it's not.
I think it's more meaningful
guilty
also.
of, like being like so scared to do that. But then for me it's funny how like it's easier to say it to a stranger than it is to a friend. And I think that's where I need to grow.
Yeah.
Because it's like that's when you gotta be like, hey, we're pals, but then
Exactly, it's more meaningful, especially when it's coming from a friend, because you know that they really like are not really risking the relationship, but there is a relationship there. And that they really need to call you out on this sort of awkward situation. But then,
I guess you just have to make sure that they know that your intention.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want you to be a bad person.
no, but the thing is, you also need to think. You also need to think about how awkward it was for the person being catcalled, as opposed to for the person catcalling. So really, like, who are you prioritizing here?
Or you can just threaten them and the friendship.
FO na tayo.
Well,
Isang
But I don't have any male friends or catcallers. I see. Yeah,
what about
so
after the situation? After it's happened, what would you do? Would you recommend for example me? I always kind of share my experience on social media, not particularly just to get the catcaller. That's not my purpose, but more for other women to feel that like, oh my gosh, this happened. This shouldn't happen.
Exactly.
Women and men to realize that this is how I felt. This is and parang it's kind of like you know what you said, strength in numbers na parang we all hate this shouldn't happen, but parang it makes other people learn from what they went through.
And not just to learn, like it's a way to empathize with other people or to feel comforted, like, oh, I went through that same experience that Mitch did, but I just didn't talk about it. But now that she went through it, I'm more free to talk about it. Because
thank you for sharing.
Yeah, thanks for sharing common experiences.
But it's also good to share it and put it out there because a lot of people don't recognize it when it happens to them. And then if you share what you did,
exactly.
to you, then it teaches other people how to deal with it as well.
Yeah.
In their own time.
Yeah, like I
if it
learned so
happens to
much
them.
from your Facebook post about what happened to you in publication.
Yeah.
It's like now I know what to do in
Me
that
just
situation.
like, you know, like someone had that wasn't a catcalling incident, it was a grouping incident, and I shared it. And, you know, like I wanted to ask, like, how do you guys feel about that, like publicizing the person who catcalled?
It's your choice.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you can choose to be quiet about it. Or you can
Parang i-share mo na lang yung
publicize.
nangyari. Pero hindi, parang...
Kasi, like for me, some people are like, you're bullying, but then I kind of felt like
You were
wait, I
bullied.
was bullied first.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, I find it tricky, so I'm interested in
parang-
But these things are just, you know, things to deal with catcalling in the short term.
Yeah.
I think let's talk about how to deal with catcalling in the long term. I mean, do you have any ideas about that? Me, as someone coming from the education sector, I'm really, really curious if there are studies done on this, particularly in the Philippines. Yeah, like, has there been research done on catcalling in the Philippines?
Well, there was a
Like how
research done
prevalent
by
it
the
is?
University of Melbourne about
Yeah.
catcalling, and it was exactly what we were talking about, like
Yeah.
how
But
it
that's in
affects the
Australia.
psyche of
Yeah.
a woman, and so it brought up a lot of things like insecurities
Yeah.
and anxiety and long-term stress. And so,
Yeah.
I mean, it's not just we're saying this, like, oh, catcalling hurt my feelings. Like, there are actual studies that prove that these are the
They have harmful
psychological
effects in the long term. Yeah. But in the Philippines, I just wonder if there are studies done on catcalling. That would be
Maybe
good.
someone watching.
We can start. Anyone watching?
Sa mga
That's
nanonood,
right.
yung mga thesis niya, ganun.
But after studying it as a social phenomenon, I think another thing that I want to go into is education, because I think education is very important to stop this culture of catcalling.
Exactly.
I mean, especially that kid that catcalled. Could you imagine?
Grabe, 10
Who did
years
that
old pa lang
boy
siya.
learn it
I was
from?
shocked.
Who did that boy learn it from? He must have learned it from an adult.
Oo.
That's
Yeah, I'm sure.
Like in his
Sa
life.
kanila.
Considering how young he was obviously like mimicking behavior and all. So it's
What did the boy do exactly? What did he say?
Oh, he did it several times. I was crossing the street and he was coming from this way. So it was a long conversation. He was like, Ma'am, sexy mo, whenever he says
Okay.
And I was
I
like,
mean, at 10 years old, you know sexy. You know,
yeah, exactly.
It's really like a product of society, like him.
Yeah.
What he sees.
Lahat na
Yeah.
nakikita niya, lahat na
Nobody
narinig
telling
niya.
him that what he's doing is wrong.
Exactly.
Like, imagine if this boy,
Yeah.
Kids, right?
No.
Because no, but like, it's my, because I have a son. I just want to
Right.
really want to raise him.
he's a baby.
No, because, I mean, these things.
He can be a baby feminist.
Yeah, I want him to be a feminist. And parang for all the moms and soon to be dads also, please teach your children that this isn't cool.
Yeah.
We all need someone to look up to, and the best people for that are parents. Like,
Yeah.
can you please be open with them that this stuff is happening? You know, like you don't want that happening to mommy, you know.
I think parenting can go a long way, but also in the school setting itself, I think that if this boy, for example, goes to a school where there's a teacher that tells him that catcalling is wrong, that you know, saying things that are unwanted to women or girls around you is not right, then they would learn it.
I think on top
Early
of that, it would be like media influences. Like if they see it on TV or whatever, even if the parents say like, "Oh, you shouldn't do that," they still might follow it because that's what they're seeing on television.
But it needs to take like a cultural change or cultural change
Exactly.
to change this
I think it's
behavior.
all these factors.
No, and it's not like we're blaming men for catcalling.
No,
Like,
it's
I
not.
personally think it's a systemic
Exactly.
cultural
Oppression,
thing.
Yeah.
Definitely, yeah. But I want to go back to your point about, you know, the things that are shown on the media. They're really, really very powerful and they shape how people think and how people behave. So I think, media literacy can also help in stopping this culture of catcalling. Because, for example, we change the kinds of advertisements or commercials that people see, where women are valued not for being sexy or not for their looks, then I think culture will change somehow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can you imagine a commercial where, wait, genius. Talino mo.
Yung parang, may book styles.
So, but
I want to go back at least. I want to go back to your point about. No, I want to go back to Gigi's point about family, and like it's for me, it's like within your direct community. I think that's also like just bringing it up in conversation constantly.
Exactly.
Long term can really change that bit because a lot of people think that to stop this systemic problem it has to come from above. When actually it has to come. Well, obviously. It helps if it comes from above. People above are respectful towards women, then that's amazing. But like within our own circles, to keep talking about it, to engage in conversation with our friend groups, with the people we work with, and just to really instill that kind of daily reminder
that stops it from becoming normal,
Yeah, and to stop it when it happens. And I think that as a parent, you have so much power to be able to contribute to changing this culture, right? Because if you raise your child as someone who respects people and respects personal space when they're out in public, then it can go a long way.
It's as simple as don't hug anyone who doesn't want to hug. Because my son is a hugger. Like, but he means well, but I try to tell him that, okay, this kid doesn't want to hug, you want to hug me instead, I'm okay with you hugging me. It's something very simple, basic as that. But I also like to look back at which I grew up with like a really strong, like women in my family were always really strong. And so like even my brother, he knows not to mess with women, like even my friends, my barkada, the guys who I become friends with, parang all of us women in the barkada we're kind of strong women also. So they know not to So I guess it's trying to.
I like that you brought it up. I know we discussed, but we didn't really talk about how like catcalling is like leads to consent. Like you said the C word, which I think is like important. Like catcalling in all these forms, grouping, all these violence against women. It comes from a culture of consent.
Exactly.
And within catcalling pa lang, kung walang consent for you to like say stuff to that's where
person in public.
exactly. Parang yun yung trust niya, parang consent.
Parang pwedeng pag no.
And it's so hard to change that. Okay, we're just gonna go back to media. I mean, you have songs about blurred lines being okay, like hitting, right? So it's like, how do you really, I don't know, because even like in Filipino culture, we have the word na pakipot. And it's just, it's like, if it's ingrained in your language, like how are you gonna change it? Because it's that ingrained already. Like you have a word for like blurred lines or the gray area.
Well, I think we can go back to what Mitch was saying earlier about things coming from above, or like a top-down approach. So I think we can talk about policies, we can talk about pushing laws. I'm from Quezon City, and I just learned that 2 years ago in 2016, we amended our Gender and Development Code to have a anti-catcalling.
Yeah, safe law. I'm so obsessed with this law.
Yeah. Because, if you have an ordinance or a law in place, then that can do its part in changing the culture.
And can we talk about this? Like right now, within the Philippines, when, for example, if you're reporting catcalling, we don't have any laws that protect us from harassment in public spaces. Yeah. Right now, like the number one, the thing that you can report, like there's laws that protect us from harassment at work, at the workplace, but in public spaces on the street, voila, nothing. So like for example, when I had to do my case, that guy who groped me, which is even a notch higher than his charge is unjust vexation. That's like that means he annoyed me. It could be it's the same as like someone doing karaoke next door and really annoying me with the noise. But for me, those are two completely different acts.
Exactly.
Like I mean, harassment on its own is like
it's actually sexual assault because sexual
should be assault, and we don't have this. Like that's how archaic, like it doesn't have that in our bill or laws. I don't know what to call it. Sorry.
Yeah.
But like like so now there's this thing like the safe spaces bill, which I think is like a really important bill that we need to like push for. Because as women, as human beings, like we really need this kind of protection to protect us from catcalling, like so that I don't know, like to criminalize it. Like for it to be like blatantly that this exact thing that you're doing is wrong.
Exactly.
So just to have a policy that says that it's wrong and it needs to stop will be very, very helpful.
Yeah, because I think the thing is that people don't think that there's going to be a consequence to their actions.
Yeah.
So I mean, if you're going to make a consequence and not entirely leave it up to the women being catcalled, I think that would help tremendously in just lessening the culture, at least, if not getting rid of it completely.
But of course, we just don't stop at having laws passed. We also have to do our part in terms of parenting or educating people about catcalling or this culture of sexualization.
Yeah, just all, whatever sector you're in, can you just,
But Noel's super good at that, doing that online, diba? Kahit mo kami, like, ano ginagawa ko? Diba? Parang, wala, like, I like your effort. You know, I'm talking about your efforts on social media. Just to have, like,
ginagawa ko lang kasi is, parang, inaano ko siya dun sa, kung kaya ko siyang ma-explain na sobrang pasok pa rin sa millennial or millennial vibes. Or,
Uy, may post-millennials na.
ay, meron na ba? Oh my God. Tapos ayun, parang nako-connect ko din siya dun sa mga napag-aralan ko before, like special courses for the masses. Tapos yung lalo na yung women, kasi may special course talaga sila na sa women. So parang yung mga na ina-apply ko yung mga napag-aralan ko doon. Tapos parang tinitweet ko na rin. So minsan may mga tweets pa rin ako na medj ang off pa rin. So tinatanggal ko or nagsasorry na ako pag dinidelete ko siya. Tapos minsan gumagawa din ako ng mga thread kung yung sa mga yung nangyari nga dun sa yung kay ate girl na sinama siya sa group chat. So pinagtanggol ko si ate. Tapos parang kinakausap ko isa-isa yung mga nangaaway kay ate girl kasi
Yung mga group chat na yun.
Yung mga kakilala ko rin kasi inaaway si ate girl na parang bakit mo share yung names nila. Tapos kinausap ko sila na kasi ganito yun. Parang hindi naman walk in the park yung ginawa sa'yo na ipapasok ka. Parang ano mo yung sarili mo dun sa nangyari sa kanya. Tapos makikita mo na, parang makikita mo na sisisihin ka pa, di ba? So parang, ayun.
So parang the power of like personal experience siya, di ba? Parang it's really sharing personal experience. What else? We covered laws.
But I want to add something about law because sometimes the law doesn't always work the way you want it to.
Kasi
remember we were talking about this case in a group chat among other girls. There was a garbage collector who was removed from his job because he was found guilty of catcalling in my city. Yeah. So we had a discussion about this. And of course, we agree that girls and women or people who are vulnerable should be protected by an ordinance or by a law in society. But not at the expense of those who are actually more vulnerable, like those who are poor.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
True.
Kasi sobrang,
Kasi kung
si Santi agad, hindi
oo,
man
di ba? Parang mas
Pwede
okay
bang
na
warning
i-educate mo
muna?
muna.
Exactly,
Parang,
exactly.
i-explain
Yeah.
sa doon sa ng catcall na ito kasi yung mali doon sa ginawa mo. Parang ang grabe naman yung sisisantihin.
To fire them right away from the job. That's why I think, like, that's why I'm obsessed.
So, syempre
And
magtataka
the
yung
catcalling ordinance in my
masisante.
city
Yeah.
only has women and girls as victims.
Yeah. No, but you know, that's why the new Safe Spaces bill
Yeah.
has the LGBTIQ community in that as well.
Yeah.
And that's why it's super important. And also, what it proposes is that one, there's a fine, but there's also gender training, gender sensitivity. And I think, for me, that's the solution because parang it can be a means also to abuse to get someone out. When the fact is that what we need to do is educate it. Parang educate talaga siya. We need that law to say, this is wrong, but also to be like, okay, why is this wrong? Why shouldn't you do it in the future? Parang ganun siya.
Hindi yung sisisantihin ka agad, tapos magtataka siya na, matanggal na ako, ano yung ginawa kong masama.
Exactly, and then that doesn't solve the problem.
Parang hindi
I'm
nakasolve.
sure hindi nila gagawin yun kasi nasasante na siya.
Pero sana na-educate siya. Sana explain.
Yeah, but instead of like instilling fear into people, I think we should really focus on educating them instead. Because I mean, he won't catcall just because he's scared of doing it.
All levels of society.
And honestly,
Exactly.
I don't think the burden is on women to educate. Like, if you are a decent human being, regardless of your gender and sexual orientation, if you want to know something about an issue, it's so easy to Google, like, why is catcalling wrong? What is feminism? What is consent? It's so easy to educate
Or
yourself.
pwede
if you
magtanong
really
sa
wanted
friend
to.
kung nahihiyang mag-search.
Friend, you know what we needed, Mira? How can, like, what's the role of men in this? Hindi natin pag-usapan yun, di ba? But we're always talking about, like, I love that you brought that up because it's like, women trying to protect themselves or women trying to educate. What about men?
Well, as long as catcalling exists, for me, that means that we're a long way to go from achieving gender equality.
Yeah.
Because it's an indication of the kind of culture that we live in right now.
But what
Right?
And it's a chicken or
exactly.
egg
So,
situation.
Yes. So I think that we should first acknowledge that this issue exists and it's something that we need to confront and we need to address. And if we will say that this is a gender equality issue, then it's not only an issue of women. It's also an issue that men should get involved in trying to stop this culture. Right?
Men don't catcall.
Well, I'm not very comfortable about the phrases.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah, so I
Hindi
wouldn't
naman
go
siya
there.
one size fits
Right, but I think to be able to address catcalling or rape culture or this culture of sexualization, we need to be able to make use of both the experiences and knowledge of men and women to address this issue.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I love that we're talking about that because it's always a topic. But like when you fight for gender equality, for example, in feminism, whenever you think about feminism, they always think that women want to be better than men.
Exactly.
They just want to
Be on the
Pantay
same
na.
Exactly, it's gender equality.
We just want to like.
Pantay-pantay.
Yeah, and isn't the reason why it's called feminism because feminine women are sort of getting the lower end of things, and to do that, we need to empower women to get on the same level as men and not above or past them or
And
anything
that's
like
what needs
that.
to be done by both genders.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's like
By everyone.
Everyone.
I mean, the truth is, like, as a human being, whether you're a guy or a girl, you just want to be your type. You just, like what I said earlier, going back to you just want to get from point A to point A in peace.
Yeah.
And that's not a lot to ask.
True.
It's a weird thing.
Oo, sobrang ano na yun ha.
But you just want to be safe in public.
Mas madali pa siyang intindihin kasi sa 1+1 ha.
No, but diba, parang yun talaga yung inisip ko lagi. How hard is it to just be quiet? How hard is it to just keep
Be
to
respectful.
yourself? Or just respectful. It's not that hard. It's seriously not that
Yeah,
hard.
but back to the issue of men and what they can do, I think first off, the most important thing is that they need to recognize talaga that they have a part in this and that catcalling isn't just a women's issue. It's an issue that concerns everybody and affects everybody. Even men get catcalled. So it really is something that we all need to work towards eradicating or getting rid of.
Or if your man does not catcall you, hey, I want to be friends with you. But just educate also your other friends. Maybe, if it comes from their perspective.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Because there are respectable ways of doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But tama ka eh. It's like, if it's another, like, sadly, like, parang it takes another, sometimes men don't want to listen to women. And
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes if a man tells a man not to do it, then it becomes more effective. Like, I don't want to say that. Like,
Yeah.
but that's the reality sometimes.
Society.
That, in society, like, guys just don't value that. So,
Or
parang
maybe they just trust this perspective. Respect, muscular.
And I think a lot of men are doing that now. Like,
Yeah.
men are talking to themselves and men are talking
Talking to
among themselves. They're talking to each other about issues that women face. And that's a good thing. Yeah. It's a good start.
Yeah. And I think it's also that men need to realize that it's not their personal fault that this whole mess is happening. It's really something that's been going on historically for a long time. It's systematic.
Ano na siya, matagal na siya. Parang kinalakihan na natin, kumbaga. Yung, parang since birth, siguro, parang wala, ano na sa utak ko na ganito yung society, ganito yung
Kaya meron tayong konsepto ng paninipol, di ba, dito sa Pilipinas. Di ba? Kasi yun talaga yung original na concept natin ng catcalling. Yung pag sinisipulan yung babae, pag naglalakad sa kalye. And I'm pretty sure a lot of men know that they are aware of that. Di ba? And they do it themselves.
Yeah. No, so I think we've been talking a lot
but
about...
catcalling is more than whistling. It's more than that.
Yes, I think because we've been talking a lot about empowering women and what they can do when they're catcalled. I think it's also important to empower men and say hey, this is how you can break free from these systematic and cultural norms.
Yeah, and if you don't like the image of being placed upon you that men are like this or men are like that, try to break the stigma and try to help out. Because you're in a position of privilege, right?
Yeah,
as
so
a
instead
man.
of having this bro culture where you look out for your bro, why don't you think about looking out for your sis? Yeah, for just people in general.
For other human
It just
beings.
doesn't matter.
Other human beings. Because remember, catcalling is not just for women. That's really a thrust that we need to, other, people in the community also get catcalled.
Yes. Definitely.
So final thoughts, guys.
I think it's still, I mean, this is a good start, but it's still gonna be a really long conversation.
Yeah.
Sobrang
Sabi
beyond
nila,
this.
mahaba-habang
Mahaba-habang
usapan. Yeah. But for me, I think the best takeaway that people should have from this conversation is that as long as catcalling exists, then we're far from gender equality. We're far from being a gender equal society. And therefore, we're far from being a just society. So for me, catcalling is actually an issue of injustice. When it happens, it's so unjust, right? So I think nobody deserves injustice in the world. So let's all work together to eradicate this kind of injustices in our society.
Yeah. My last point, actually, I'd just like to emphasize what we talked about a while ago, where it's everybody's issue to deal with, and this isn't just on the burden of women. This is on the burden of everyone, and it's something that, you know, it affects our society shared between men and women. So it's everybody's issue, not just women.
Pero can we just be mindful, compassionate, human?
Totoo.
Yes.
Oh my God,
Totoo, regardless.
Actually, you know, I love that because it's like
Me too.
just kindness, diba? Parang it's just kindness and consideration. Even if we don't talk about it in terms of gender, it's
Yeah.
literally treating another human being
With respect.
compassion, diba? And just like, it has nothing, you know, parang,
We're just looking at another person as a full human being, and therefore deserving of all respect that you accord. Yeah, that you deserve as well.
Or that you want for
Right.
yourself.
Yeah. Because if, for example, you go out into the street and then you see another person, this person is a full human being. Deserving of all respect. Then you will not bother them. Right? You won't say anything bad to them. You won't ruin their day by catcalling them.
it's so funny because ako, every time I'm catcall, I go, gusto mo ba nagaganyanan kita? When you think about it, like,
Yeah.
I go like,
Grabe
gusto mo ba
nagtagonize.
nagaganyanan kita? Gaganyan sa kalye? But when you think about it, that's all you're asking. You're just asking to be treated the way you want to be treated. That's so basic. There's nothing to do with it.
Di ba? Do not do unto others. Di ba?
Very basic.
Do not do unto others. Basta yun.
Final words, Noel.
Ako, yung mga na-curious pa or na-intriga talaga dun sa catcalling. Oo naman, kasi syempre may mga questions yung mga makakanood nito. Parang wag silang mahiyang magtanong, like parang kung may friends sila na lalo na if babae na, uy, ano ba yung fit? Yung parang kung okay lang na ikwento mo, ano ba yung feeling pag nakaka-call ka, gano'n. Or parang ano yung mga yung sa amin, parang ano yung additional readings para mas para mas matanggal natin yung catcalling or kahit ano pa personal. Ayun, so lalo sa mga lalaki kasi hindi ko alam, parang dahil na din siguro sa systemic oppression natin na yung mga lalaki parang dapat hindi nagtatanong or dapat alam yung lahat, di ba parang naka-ingrain na rin sa atin na gano'n. Parang sana sirain nila yung ganong pag-iisip na mas maganda na nagtatanong ka sa mga issue kaysa yung nandito lang ako, enjoy ko lang enjoy ko lang yung ivory tower ko.
Kasi ginagawa mo din siya.
Ganon. So, mas maganda na nagtatanong talaga. Pero yung pagtatanong...
There's no shame naman in wanting to learn.
Totoo,
diba? And for me, parang, it's nice to also provide that space of parang understanding kasi yung nangyayari is like, you know, we're so quick, you know, like, quick to attack. So parang people feel like they can't make mistakes.
Yeah.
But then what's important is we have to want to be educated, but provide room to be able to ask those questions.
Yeah.
Like ako, for me, like, you know, my word is like parang, you know, it starts, yeah, it's so cliche. It starts at home, guys. No, parang, you know, I think that within every individual, we're able to create change in our own circles. So going back to like in our family or communities, and kind of taking that step, like whoever's listening, whoever's listening or watching, but you know, one voice, like people always say like, ako lang naman yun, you think that ano, but parang, you know, just one trying to teach someone about why this is wrong, or trying to like engage someone in conversation, or just simply by listening to this and sharing it and then saying like, you know, this is what it is, parang, that's so significant parang that kind of communicating within your own circle, you know, that's like, I think that's the misconception na parang you have to be a big person to
Yeah.
create kind of change in the system when actually we all have the power to engage in these conversations, to engage, you know,
Lahat.
lahat, diba? Kaya natin siya.
Ayun, sabi ko.
Exactly.
Pero laki yung sinabi ni Rachel, you know, affirm people's humanity. Because at the end of it, it's really what we need to do.
That's
Diba?
the very core of who we are anyways, right?
Yeah.
It's the whole physics of our existence.
Especially like now when we're so engaged behind our screens that we actually forget that people are walking, talking things with feelings.
True.
It's funny, no, how parang like it's like we have some weird empowerment in being behind our computer to hurt someone.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like parang it's so easy to catcall behind your, you know,
True.
I think it's the
don't know
same.
how I'm jumping back to the start, but you know, like parang it's like
Yung mga anonymous na
being able to
magsisend bigla.
anonymously hurt someone.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it goes back to people believing that their actions don't have consequences. And I guess that's another thing that we can leave people with is that maybe you could be the one to teach other people, like, hey, this isn't right, this could lead to this or whatever. Like, there is a consequence. Even if it doesn't happen to you, the situation would have a consequence, you know?
And we're not even talking about consequences like the wrath of God or whatever. It's just like, hey, that wasn't nice. Maybe you should rethink what you just did.
Exactly.
Girls, I'm so glad we had this conversation. I'm so glad. Like, you know what, parang it's so great.
Sana mahuli to.
Yeah,
It's so great to be here and like,
May handouts na. Charot.
no, but yun nga, di ba? Parang, like, you know, this is just the beginning, di ba? Parang,
Totoo.
ito, simula pa lang siya ng mahaba-habang usapan natin about
Actually, may
catcalling.
nag-tweet
The
sa akin,
conversation shouldn't stop here.
Yes, totoo.
People should
May,
keep on
may
talking
nag-tweet
about
sa akin kahapon na parang masaya siya na ginawa natin to. Kasi overdue na daw yung hindi pag-ano about catcalling or yung kung
But
paano
the thing
siya
is,
naka-ano.
it's not just catcalling, you know? Parang, and everything that's
So parang
going
natuwa
on.
siya na parang at least may gumagawa or may nagsasalita laban dun sa mga araw-araw nating naranasan.
Powerless, no matter who you are, parang naka-time with voice.
Yeah, you can always, like she said, talk about it on social media, talk about it with your friends.
I also believe in your agency as a person, that you can stop this culture of catcalling.
Or at least
And you
help
can do your
stop.
part
As long as
to
one
do
person
that.
changes, parang
It's a domino
Domino
this
effect.
one person, it's like a domino effect.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah. Kasi most of the time, we don't talk about it. Right? Even among girls, we don't talk about our experiences of catcalling. Because sometimes
It's embarrassing
we're
sometimes.
embarrassed to talk about it in public.
Parang may one time na nag-share, parang ngayon lang ako nag-share nung mga kinatwal
Yung mga
ako.
naranasan mo.
Oo, parang na-realize ko na pala before ko pag ginawa. Kasi mas nakakaano pag may kausap ka na actual, tapos sinabi mo yung nangyari sa'yo, tapos parang siya, parang kakausapin ka niya, comfort ka niya, tapos parang sabi na, hindi lang ko yung nag-iisa na nangyari sa akin yun, tapos parang kailangan nating tanggalin talaga yung problema ng society na itong catcalling at kung ano pa.
Ako, that's my wish na parang based on our little conversation, sana everyone is kind of like feeling that they're not alone, di ba? They're not alone and they can do something.
Yeah.
Oo.
And it's not like we knew each other before today.
Yeah!
I literally talking to strangers about.
It's really like, for me, that's really the power of like bringing people together and having conversations, di ba? Having conversations that really can change so much.
Yeah. So talagang mahaba-habang usapan talaga.
On so many different levels. I'm so happy to be able to share this space with you.
Yeah.
And meet
You guys.
Yay!
Are we clapping?
Yes. Was that it?